Do you solemnly swear or affirm, under penalty of perjury, that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Come have a seat.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at 10 revelations from the Alex Jones Sandy Hook trial.
The whole case is insane, and then you have this thrown into it, right?
For this video, we're looking at the most shocking, personal, and eye-opening revelations that have been gleaned from the Alex Jones Sandy Hook trial. Which of these revelations wowed you the most? Let us know in the comments. An apology won't suffice. Alex Jones is an alt-right radio host and conspiracy theorist. One of the most prominent claims he's made over the years is that the 2012 tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary was, quote, staged and perpetrated by, quote, crisis actors to help advance the argument for gun control, a theory that has been widely discredited. As a result, the father of one of the victims, Neil Heslin, sued Jones for defamation.
I can't even describe the last 9.5 years of the living hell that I and others have had to endure because of the negligence and the recklessness of Alex Jones.
The plaintiffs explained in court that a mere apology from Jones would not be enough to mend the incredible damage that Jones's false claims made. Jones, InfoWar, and free speech systems would need to be held accountable for their words and actions. They sought $150 million in damages.
Now that is a huge verdict, to be sure, but it is one that will do justice to the level of harm done in this case.
In the end, Jones was ordered to pay just under $50 million.
Question number 1, $4,200,000. Question number 2, $20,500,000. Question number 3, $20,500,000.
Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. Part of Jones's defense involved shifting the blame from himself to others. For example, Hillary Clinton. Jones asserted that those suing him had been organized by Clinton and that she was targeting him due to his support of her opponent in the 2016 presidential election, Donald Trump.
In the last 2 months of the campaign, I'd already been a big part of the Clinton campaign, tying me to Trump.
This was likely partially in reference to an attack ad released by Clinton's team during the campaign that showcased the close ties between Jones and Trump, while also highlighting some of Jones's more outlandish claims.
I felt it stole my identity and was building me into a monster as a political tool, and I wanted my identity back and did not want to be tied to the twisted things that they were saying I did by making me the Sandy Hook man.
After Trump's election, Jones says the president-elect called him to thank him for his help in securing his win.
Hell, at one point I thought he was going to start yelling or chanting, "Lock her up." I mean, when's it going to be over with from that side?
$300 million a year, or not? The defamation trial provided some interesting and conflicting looks into the finances of Alex Jones's company, Free Speech Systems. According to Jones, being ordered to pay just $2 million would, quote, sink the company.
Any compensation above $2 million will sink us and we'll be shut down.
No, appropriate, not to you. Appropriate for what happened to them.
Jones could be hurting financially, as he admitted to losing millions in revenue after getting deplatformed in 2018. However, Mark Bankston, the attorney representing the plaintiffs, proved in a cross-examination that on several occasions in that same year, the company made as much as $800,000 a day.
Some days you're making $800,000, $745,000 a day, right?
Yeah, you guys cherry-picked the best numbers we ever had. That's why I remember this.
Provided this is a regular occurrence, their annual gross would be around $300 million.
That's about right.
Gross, yes.
For his part, Jones claimed this was not a regular occurrence and that these numbers were not representative. In addition, during the trial, he also made an emergency bankruptcy filing for Free Speech Systems. Jones admits the tragedy was real.
For years, Alex Jones was the most powerful voice behind a disturbing conspiracy theory that the Sandy Hook shooting was a massive hoax.
As stated earlier, Jones has long claimed that the Sandy Hook tragedy was a fabrication. It's arguably his most infamous conspiracy theory, which is why it was so astonishing to hear him admit it actually happened.
It's 100% real, as I said on the radio yesterday, and as I said here yesterday. It's 100% real, and the media still ran with lies that I was saying it wasn't real on air yesterday. It's incredible.
During Jones's testimony, he finally admitted that the tragedy was, quote, 100% real. According to Jones himself, he came to realize its veracity after, quote, meeting the parents of the victims.
And I truly, when I said those statements, when I say something, I mean it, that I really could believe that it was totally staged at that point.
This was a major revelation that made headlines around the country, and only time will tell what it will do to Jones's character, company, and following. Jones regrets spouting the conspiracy theory. Alex Jones built his career and reputation on conspiracy theories, but he admits to deeply regretting the one aimed at Sandy Hook.
If you are genuinely sorry and regretful about how your words caused harm to grieving parents, how do you plan to show, rather than just tell, that you are sorry?
According to Jones himself, the conspiracy theory and its resulting controversy has ruined his life. And if he could go back in time, he would choose not to lie about it.
At the time, what, if anything else, was going on in your life?
My family was falling apart.
This is a significant revelation, especially coming from someone whose public persona is predicated on the dissemination of baseless and provocative claims.
And you know that's not true. You know that's not true. But when you say those things, there's a fringe of society that believe you, that are actually dangerous.
Whether Jones feels remorse for his actions or regrets that he's now being forced to pay millions to the plaintiffs is up for debate. But this case will serve as a cautionary tale for other would-be provocateurs, who will need to think twice before spreading lies.
He will grovel and he will beg for more donations through Bitcoin, and he will try to sell some more supplements on this. But that's a lot of supplements. $50 million in supplements is a tremendous amount of brain force plus that Alex Jones is going to have to sell to make this up.
Jones went after the judge. One of the more stupefying moments from the trial saw Jones asked about disparaging comments he made against the judge in the case, Maya Guerra Gamble.
You say, Mr. Jones, that you're taking these court proceedings seriously. You're approaching them in good faith. But the truth of the matter is, you've been broadcasting repeatedly a picture of our judge on fire.
Jones denied making such comments. But in a scene ripped straight from a courtroom drama, attorney Mark Bankson played a video in which Jones connected Gamble to some horrible acts against children.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, we would like to show a clip from Mr. Jones' show on Thursday where those words are said.
Judge Gamble simply laughed in response, and ultimately, this would not be the only time Jones was caught in a lie on the stand. More on that in a bit.
I was massaging the hole in my mouth with my tongue. Right here, right here.
I don't want to see
All right.
the inside of your mouth.
Oh, no, there's no gum. Hole.
Sit down.
PTSD. Some may paint Alex Jones as a troll screaming about nonsense on the internet, but we must remember the real-world consequences that his so-called opinions have on their respective targets, and society as a whole.
That we have to implore you, not just implore you, punish you, to get you to stop lying, saying it's a hoax. It happened. It's like surreal what's going on in here.
For example, Neil Heslin and Scarlett Lewis, the parents of the late Jesse Lewis, have been bombarded by both digital and physical harassment by Jones's followers. This, combined with the shock of losing their young son in the tragedy, has reportedly given them post-traumatic stress disorder.
But I cherish those days, those years with Jesse.
Something a forensic psychiatrist testified to in court.
The doctor says Neil Heslin and Scarlett Lewis, parents of Jesse Lewis, who was killed at Sandy Hook, have been traumatized.
Does Neil have PTSD?
Yes.
Does Scarlett?
Yes.
Lying under oath. Alex Jones has made millions of dollars over the years peddling disinformation. But during this trial, he was caught in lie after lie.
The person on the left of this image is our judge, correct?
Yes.
The person on the right is another judge you don't like, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There was the aforementioned lie concerning his comments about the judge, which was quickly disproven by video evidence. Jones also claimed that he was bankrupt and that he lawfully participated in the pre-trial process by providing the necessary evidence.
That is also not true. You may have filed for bankruptcy. I don't know that, but I've heard that. It doesn't That doesn't make a person or a company bankrupt.
Neither of these were found to be true, and Judge Gamble personally admonished Jones in court for his persistent lying, telling him that this wasn't his show.
It seems absurd to instruct you again that you must tell the truth while you testify, yet here I am. You must tell the truth while you testify. This is not your show.
Jones's text messages.
One of the things that you were ordered to do in this lawsuit, you were ordered to turn over any text messages mentioning Sandy Hook, right?
Yes.
And you didn't have any, right?
Not that we could find.
One of the biggest and most head-scratching revelations of the trial involved Alex Jones's text messages.
You've got it upside down. That's text messages between you and Paul Watson, isn't it?
Yes.
And they mention Sandy Hook, don't they?
Yes.
Plan us to move 130 into evidence?
During the deposition, Jones claimed that none of his texts directly named or referenced Sandy Hook. But during the trial, Mark Bankston dropped a bombshell and revealed that he was in possession of a copy of Jones's entire cell phone, including 2 years' worth of texts. It had been sent to him by Jones's own lawyer by accident. And when Jones's legal team was informed of their mistake, they did nothing to rectify the situation. As a result, Bankston was able to prove that Jones's phone did contain text messages directly relating to Sandy Hook.
Your attorneys messed up. They sent me an entire digital copy of your entire cell phone with every text message you've sent for the past 2 years, and when informed, did not take any steps to identify it as privileged or protect it in any way.
And that Jones had committed perjury by lying under oath.
Is that perjury on its face? Criminal charges inevitable?
I would say that criminal charges are certainly possible, maybe even likely, but not necessarily inevitable.
The January 6th committee.
I've been asked by the January 6th committee to turn their
I mean, I don't know that you get to stop that anyway.
Well, if they subpoenaed them, it would be a very different story.
Well, they're going to now. They know about them. They know they exist. They know you have them. I think they're going there either way.
Alex Jones was directly involved in the events at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, 2021. For one, Jones's company helped fund a pro-Trump rally that day in exchange for a, quote, top speaking slot of his choice. Jones was also vocal in undermining the validity of President Joe Biden's election, calling him, quote, a communist Chinese agent, and inciting the crowd that day with prompts to, quote, start marching.
History is happening! I salute you! Tell everyone you know! Go to the other side of the Capitol! That's where Trump's gonna be!
Shortly after it was revealed that attorney Mark Bankston had 2 years of Jones's text messages, the committee investigating the January 6th attack asked for a copy of the phone's contents. While Jones said on his show that there's nothing in his texts pertaining to the Capitol attack, and that he said more inflammatory things on air, this could prove to be an integral piece of evidence for the committee.
What's most amazing to me is this case isn't about January 6th. It's about Sandy Hook.